Hello listeners, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of Trend Talks. Both the topic and my guest today are not new to PwC. The topic is learning, and my guest is Pamela Mamo, Senior Manager at our PwC's Academy. Pam, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Liz, for having me.
I still remember the day when the Academy was set up in 2010. I also remember the very first Text conference we had in June of 2010. It seems like another life. How has learning changed from that date?
Okay, so I think mostly learning has become so vast and yet so specialized. So there are a number of areas and also very, very highly specialized. So learners are seeking more practitioner type of learning. So I think that is one thing. Of course, over 10 years, the learner has changed as well. So we call him the modern learner who is very connected, is always on, hungry for information, wants on-demand information. So the learner has obviously changed.
Mm-hmm. So I can say the one size fits all is no longer valid.
Does not apply at all anymore. And in fact, even with the COVID-19 pandemic, it has fast-tracked online learning by 5 to 10 years. So all this disruption in the L&D has also happened because of COVID. So what was coming in 10 years' time has come in the past 2 years. So there's a lot of push towards digital learning. Those are the three, I think, main things that I could see changing in the past 10 years.
In terms of challenges, what would say nowadays are the major challenges for L&D professionals?
I think because of what we were saying just now, I mean, how learning has changed. I think the main thing, HR, or sometimes, I mean, if an HR department is big enough to have an L&D department, I think the main thing they're trying to ask is how can I provide my employees with training on demand when needed. And this needs to be available whenever the employee can take the training, and it has to be available on every channel because, as we said before, the learner is only at his PC, but he can take learning at different points in time and omni-channel on different channels.
Considering the expectation from the learner is to find training available on demand and on various platforms, I think it's obvious to say that then the provider has had to increase the investment in order to provide this training.
Yes, definitely. However, now the role of the L&D is changing to be more of a curator. So there isn't an investment upfront in, rebuilding it and designing it from scratch. There's so much available.
So channeling it. And making it available.
Yes, making that of a curator, like you see in a museum. That is what an L&D person needs to do. Curating from different channels, strategic learning partners, investing in mentoring and coaching, working towards micro credentials. Okay, so it's more of a curator type of role. Nonetheless, the challenge for an L&D person remains the yearly budget. So funding is still a challenge. There's a lot happening in Malta, so a lot of Malta enterprise schemes and ETC schemes like investing in skills, training pay schemes, get qualified scheme. There are a number of it, but funding remains, especially when people think that this new learning costs more, but ultimately it's more cost effective.
Is, I think, making it available at the right time on the right platform, which requires time rather than the training itself, possibly.
Exactly. That is it.
Before you mentioned the pandemic, which obviously we saw a move to a remote workforce, and learning is becoming more digital as well. Have you seen this happening locally?
We cannot say it's not happening locally because obviously it has affected the whole globe, and of course people are enjoying the fact that they can sit at home and have their online meetings and likewise have online training. However, I think we're still moving slow towards curation of digital learning assets. So we don't see around a lot, the concepts of VR and AR are still very far away, yet they're very cost effective and they promote a lot learning by doing, which is the most effective way to achieve results because you're actually participative.
In your view, why are they far away in the sense from a provider perspective, or the user is still not accustomed to this type of learning?
I don't think it is the user. I think it is difficult, as I said before. all this came to us 5 to 10 years earlier on. So I think the L&D and the HR professionals were still gearing up to assign strategic learning partners to start, this process, because these are available. It's more encompassing them into the learning journey you are providing for your employees. I mean, it's not just VR and AR, of course. There is the concept of gamification and storytelling. Users like it; they play it.
Yes.
Why can't we use it in learning?
I'm a big fan,
and you're a big fan, of course, because we all like playing games. We've been playing games and we've been told stories since a very young age. So why not using these concepts in learning as well? And these concepts can make learning, as we said before, very personalized. So it's not one size fits all, because through a game, you are doing adaptive learning. So you score a level, you move on to the next piece of knowledge. You're not doing well, you get a repetition. These kind of ones that help in personalizing learning. Other digital learning assets, other asynchronous types of virtual desks, leadership boards, virtual coaching, podcasts like we're doing today, e-learns, video animation.
It's impressive.
The sky is the limit in digital learning. It's about finding the right learning partners to start slowly building a journey towards digital learning.
We're getting very excited speaking about digital in this conversation, but let's move a bit to the hub where we are today recording this podcast. Will we ever go back to the face-to-face we used to organize before?
Of course. I mean, the hub is such a nice concept, and remember, part of the learning process is the human element, and that can never be completely sidelined in a learning journey. In fact, we believe a lot in the blended approach, and most of our courses are in fact designed in this manner. We will continue investing in collaborative spaces at the hub. People learn so much when they are brought together, when they role play, when they have to deal with emotions on the spot, when they are asked to present a proposal. All these things are important. And although a properly designed digital course can have space for group discussions, there are some skills and competencies which are obviously better achieved through face-to-face.
But then again, face-to-face can be combined with learning technology, so mixing both worlds we have been discussing. What learning technologies is the Academy embracing? Hybrid, digital learning?
Yes, in fact, at the hub, we have transformed a bit the hub. It's now a place where you could also have hybrid learning. So with that comes a number of technologies that have to be in place. It's not, just a matter of someone on Google Meet or someone on Microsoft Teams and the others are at home. It's not as easy as that. Having a hybrid class, people in class and people from home, requires much more technology than that. Proper sound and camera systems, Of course, baseline to everything is a learning management platform that can take both your face-to-face and your digital learning all in one, where the learning journey is designed in the learning management platform. You're curating the right material in there. You are pushing the right resources to the right employees at the right time. And you're also deriving learning analytics, which is a topic we haven't spoken about, learning analytics from this LMS.
What feedback have you received from clients using our learning management platform?
It has helped them very much from the administration point of view. So no more Excel sheets, no more sending out invites for training. Everything is centralized through.
It becomes a more efficient process.
A more efficient, definitely administrative wise.
And even data, I would imagine, is then readily available.
Readily available through reports from the learning management platform, taking attendance automatically. All these things are all pluses. But the learning management platform has also helped to enhance the user experience. In this case, the user is the learner experience when they are experiencing learning in a digital format.
And can we say that the user has more control then on their learning through this system?
The user has more control, can control their badges, when they've done their micro learning bits, can speak to someone if they need help through the digital forum. There is yes, they feel more, there's a place where they can land, you know.
It's a more comprehensive planner as well for learning, training, and making sure sort of where you are on your next steps.
Yes, that's why I say it's the basis of everything, you know. It's, I think, the first step to starting this transformation process in learning.
Pam, we tend to focus a bit on the big businesses when it comes to learning and professionals in this space. But for an L&D professional or someone in a small business that might look at all this as a bit possibly too complex, what would be your suggestions as to where to start?
In fact, I get this, I get this interaction a lot with an L&D professional who says to me, listen, I want to convince the business to go for this. From where do I start? How do I go about it? And I always say, listen, onboarding of new employees is something that every HR person has to go through, whatever the size of the business. Some have it more complex than others, but whatever size, you are going to do some form of onboarding always. And this is exactly where I suggest that learning transformation takes place, because it is more, it's a cost-effective solution, because you're investing once in this onboarding learning journey with e-learns processes, you know, mapped into games or even to stories, you know. And every time you have a new joiner, the same training is going to be triggered off without you needing to round up different departments, having the new joiner to plan every time a new joiner comes in. You know, the onboarding learning journey is designed and developed and can be used. So it's more cost effective and definitely more efficient. Of course, you are onboarding them onto the LMS, onto the learning management system, which could work well for employer branding, because they're seeing what other learning they could do in the next years to come. You know, you're starting them on a, like we said before, there is their learning home, their learning space. And you immediately start tracking data about your learner, because they're on the platform. If they are seeing things at nighttime, if they are seeing things in the morning, if they're getting stuck on an e-learn, and where they're getting stuck, all this data is something which is flowing to you as soon as you onboard an employee. So I think that's a fantastic start. From where to start, I would just start by transforming the way we do our onboarding learning programs.
Thank you, Pam, for that. I must admit, I feel the passion you have for learning in every sentence and answer you have given me. That brings us practically to the end of this podcast. I encourage our listeners to visit the Hub. It's a lovely team building space for learning, very innovative.
And we look forward to welcoming you as well.
Thank you to our listeners for tuning in, and watch this space for the next episode.